And we are back.
Yes, we are.
We are discussing Dungeons and Dragons dice.
Well, and also to-do lists
Yes,
and adulting,
yes,
how they can be of assistance.
yes. I give a big shout out to Candy and Matt and company for getting me into Dungeons and Dragons and getting me the motivation and the reasoning to get my first set of polyhedral dice. And I got
We've been
little duckies. Look at how cute.
ducky
A little duck
guys.
duck. So I started playing. I love the dice. That was the whole reason I needed dice. And
I get it. I think I have like 12, 13 sets. I get it.
yeah, so I've got another set coming in November that's from a Kickstarter, and I was like, do I really want to
Hmm.
spend $20 on a set of dice? Yes. So
Hmm. Sometimes you $20 like them. I get it.
it's true. So I was like, okay, here we go. But yeah, so I found another use for the dice, which, in my day job, I have a to-do list like a mile long. And oh hey, I've got 20-sided die and I've got a 20-item to-do list. So I was trying to figure out, because I make these to-do lists and then I go into like deer in headlights mode where I'm just kind of like, oh crap, I've got so much to do. And
Hmm.
first.
And
And
then you get paralyzed by it. Yeah, absolutely.
so I was like, you know what? I got these dice. I'm just gonna roll and see like which one it lands on. So I put in, I've got the numbers next to all my to-do items and I rolled and I tackled that one first because they're all the same priority. It's not like one is more prioritized than the other at this point because they're
Hmm.
all important tasks and they all need to get done all in a quick amount of time.
Right.
I just rolled the dice and I went and did that first one, checked it off the list. Did another one, checked it off the list. Did another one, checked it off the list. And as I went down the list, I got to go smaller and smaller die until I got down to my triangle, my little pyramid. So I was so proud of myself.
Three-sided.
I was so proud of myself. I was like, "Good job, you!" And I got my to-do list done.
And I love how you're talking about this like you're the first one that ever thought of it.
Having
There's, but it's great because I told you, there's a lot of reasons to have them and a lot of things you can do with them, and wait until you get a 100-sided die. Mm-hmm.
my to-do lists aren't getting smaller, so I feel like I really need
And
this.
you can have a bigger one, yeah. Yeah.
So there's 20-sided. I'm assuming there's 50.
Well, there's also 10-sided, right?
Well,
What you could do is that 10-sided is like, it could be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, right? And then you take like your 6-sided dice or whatever and like work from there. You could make it work with what you have.
yeah, I mean, I'm digging it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also really amused that this one looks so much like a fluoride octahedron. I'm just like, it's like a fluoride octahedron with a duck inside.
Quack, quack, bitches.
So yes, that's been my life. As well as, and you're gonna love this. So I, you know, I've been doing interviews and stuff, as you know, and I got to read some of the Watershed on the Panic Room, which was pretty cool. And the one story that I'm actually working on right now is called The House in the Circle in the Square. And you've already started reading it. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't know, Candy is like my alpha reader. Yeah, she's like the alpha and the omega of my reader.
Woof woof.
So yeah, she gives me advice like, hey, stupid, this is only in your head that you understand this. You need to make it understandable to everybody.
Yeah. Or like, oh hey, in this book 6 years ago on page number 32, that character was doing something completely different on this day.
Yeah,
She's like, wait, what?
be honest.
But I'm usually right.
She keeps me honest.
Hmm.
So I'm working on this new one. I'm actually working on a couple of new ones. So I'm working on The House in the Circle in the Square. I'm also working on the fifth Metatron book, which is A Hope in Hanover, The Sins of the Snack Food Capital. Um, that one's gonna be
And it's also really, really fun.
it's so much fun. I love the Metatron mysteries.
Hmm.
They are just so much fun to write. But
There's fun to read.
I'm also working on, I don't know if it's going to be a short story or if it's going to be a book yet, and it's going to be released under a pseudonym. It's going to be called Through the Ashes. And I've been doing a ton of research on Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii, and Herculaneum.
And are you going to do a fictional work
Yeah,
on this one? Okay.
yep, total fiction.
And
But
is it going to be
huh?
is it going to be like a new universe, because you kind of have almost like the expanded Susie universe where all of your stuff sort of happens in the same world and all of the characters are moving through the same world, just at different points or at different times or whatever. So
It's
is
completely new.
completely new.
Yeah, it's going to be under a pseudonym. So this is a completely under.
So were the other ones.
The Metatron was, yes. That one, though, they didn't start crossing over until they were put out under Madron. So that's when they started crossing over.
Okay.
I mean, like anybody who read me across my various pseudonyms probably recognized like a few characters, like Lily.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was kind of like an Easter egg.
Mhm.
But yeah, the yeah, it's gonna be completely unrelated. Um
It's an Easter egg.
is an Easter egg. All my stuff has Easter eggs in it. I am a huge fan of hidden things and secrets.
Yeah, but you hid the one thing. Remember, you hid the name even from yourself and didn't realize you'd done it until I mentioned it.
Yeah,
And yeah, and that's a big spoiler, so that's all I'm gonna say.
sometimes I'm so good
Sometimes
at things. It's in a
I
safe
don't
place.
even notice. Hmm.
But yeah, the Through the Ashes is going to be probably terrifying. I mean, I'm already like like my skin crawls just thinking about writing it because
Hmm.
of course, like Pompeii and Herculaneum, like Jesus. Um, because one of the things going into it was like we all know about Pompeii, and we all know that Mount Vesuvius like blew its top and stuff. But it's like one of the things that I'd always wondered about, and I never really looked into it too much, was how did it disappear where people just like forgot about it? Like, oh hey, there's like nothing there. Let's build another city on top of it. And it was like literally in 24 hours, this thing was gone, like wiped off the map and buried under ashes and rocks. So I was like, oh, okay, well, but you'd think like the people across the water would be like, oh, hey, there was a town there. You probably should just chill. You okay?
Well, I'm thinking about that, right? And actually, within like 2 or 3 generations, that could happen. Because check this out, right?
Mhm.
So it blows its top
Yep.
and it destroys the city. So all those people are gone.
Yeah.
So they're not going to mention it because they're gone. The people across the way that saw it, right? Back then, something like that happened. It was like a curse. And so they didn't talk about it, right? So then they're not telling their kids about it. The people that were kids aren't talking about it. And they grow up, and then there's a new, so then the older people die. The people that were kids are now older and they're not talking about it. And then you've got these new sets of kids that know nothing about it. So it could happen within like, yeah, 3 or 4 generations.
Yeah. And I mean, like with
So yeah, I mean, I'm okay.
yeah,
That's
like
sorry.
with Pompeii and stuff too, and Herculaneum. Like when they built their town there, Vesuvius was still a mountain. Like it didn't look like a giant smoking crater. So yeah, I totally get why they would have built the thing there because it was gorgeous and green and lush.
Hmm.
Yeah. Big giant volcano underneath it
It's
all.
all that volcanic soil.
It is. It is. So yeah. So the thing. I've been watching and studying Herculaneum because it's different than Pompeii. Pompeii, they preserve the people and the stuff under the ashes, and then Herculaneum was buried under rock. So the wood survived. So the people rotted. So they have the skeletons. Pompeii, they don't have the skeletons because they're molded in plaster. So they also have the sewer and all the stuff that's in the sewer in Herculaneum, as well as all the intact woodwork. And some of the woodwork still has paint on it. And some
Okay,
of the marble statues still have paint on them.
so they also, like, people in Pompeii and Herculaneum really had an obsession with genitalia. So have you figured out what that's about yet?
Well, they thought, I mean, it's Roman statuary in general. If you
And
had
are
the
you,
small penis, you mean?
no, I mean there was just dick jokes and stuff about your mom's a hooker everywhere, and that's like there was graffiti everywhere, and a lot of it had to do with like genitalia, and there was like over doors there were like sculptures of penises with wings or whatever. Like, you haven't.
That's a good luck thing. That's a fertility thing.
Okay, are you going to have that in your book, like the
I
mention of the flying penises? And
It might end up in there because they're going to be on a dig.
mhm.
Um, so it could end up in there just as, background info, because that was mostly why I started watching these documentaries and stuff was,
Because of the dicks.
well, no, not the dick, but yeah, I got better things to do with my time.
Should hope so.
Yeah, I mean, like lots better, but like, yeah, I needed to really visualize not only what it looks like today, but what it looked like back then and what it might have looked like back then. So like
Right.
Pompeii and virtual Herculaneum and stuff like that, where they've restored it. The Herculaneum one is really good for me though, because I can see the woodwork and see the paint colors and get an idea like, okay, yes, they painted their statues, which we knew, but to what extent did they paint the statues?
Yeah, and was it like gaudy ugly, or were they realistically painted, or like, I'm curious about that too. Like, what was the quality of the paint? Like, was it like, did it have metallics in it like they would use gold leaf and things like that? And I
They,
wonder about that stuff so much.
they did use gold in Herculaneum in the
Mhm.
mosaics.
Mhm.
So yeah, and that was one of the things that surprised them was, for a middle class town, they lived like, upper class. Like their food and stuff like that, they had a really good, amount of protein. They also discovered that the eating habits of Roman times has not shifted too much, where Italians still eat the same things and the same way, like just eat
Mhm.
the whole octopus and fish, like smelts.
Because it's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, like they
It's
eat the heads and
good.
everything too. So that was one thing
Yeah,
they found in the sewer was fish with,
fish heads.
yeah, well, like fish, like entire fish in crab.
Mhm.
So they found all these fish bones that are typically in a fish head, and
Mhm.
they were just like, "Whoa, they're like eating the whole thing." And
Mhm.
I've watched my dad do that. Like he'll go
That
and
was.
start eating smelts like they're French fries.
Mhm. We were in gosh, a restaurant in Casignano, and they brought out this fish with the head and the eyeball looking at you, and I was like, and the kids at the table are like fighting over who gets the eyeballs, and I was like, okay,
Yep.
that's not Kansas anymore.
When we took my parents out to eat at a local seafood restaurant, my dad ordered it was some fish, and they bring out the entire fish, and he's just like, "Oh." And all of a sudden he just gets this look on his face like a kid at Christmas, and
Aw.
because it's literally like this entire fish, and then they've just peeled
Mhm.
the skin back, so it's got the bones and everything in it. And he's sitting there and he's chewing on the fins, and they're crackling and crunching. And my mom's like, "Oh!" He's like, "It's good. It's like potato chips." And my
Oh
mom's
God.
thoroughly disgusted.
Potato chips.
And then he's like, "Oh, they got the eye." He starts like digging at the eyeball.
It's the eyeball.
So yeah,
What is that?
I was laughing because watching this documentary about Herculaneum and Pompeii and all that,
Hmm.
it hasn't changed much. Like that's how it's done back then. That's how it's done today.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
It's
so
really
I'll
interesting.
send you the link for the Herculaneum one. In fact,
Okay.
we can post the link. Um,
Okay.
I'll add it to my to-do list and roll the dice to see which one gets done first.
Yay.
Unless you want to do it, give you something to
Whichever. Whichever. Yeah, I'm actually gonna start I have an editing project that I got right before I got all this happened. I got an editing project, and so I think I'm gonna start on that tomorrow because I'm able to, like, I was having a problem where I was like looking at things and I would almost like it was like a temporary kind of dyslexia.
do.
Like things would shift around and I wasn't able to focus properly. And um, yeah, so that's not so bad anymore. So I feel like I can actually like do words and be worthy of doing words for money. So yeah, yeah, getting there, getting there.
I told you it's going to take time. It's not going to be
Yeah,
instantaneous.
it's frustrating,
I know.
but at least I can communicate again where I feel effectively, even when I'm upset. I was really upset the other day, and I was still able to make my point, which was good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So
yeah, it's coming along,
yeah,
getting there.
I think I think we've
Yeah,
actually done an entire episode.
yeah, I think so.
Then
And I still haven't talked about the weirdo fundamentalists.
that'll be another episode.
Yeah,
Next time,
next time.
tuning in.
Yeah.
Dangle that carrot. Like, go on, go on.
Same weirdo time, same strange channel. Subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Let Candy know you love her.
Oh, the guilt.
I'm Italian Irish, raised Catholic. Pro. Pro level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some pro level guilt going
I am Candy and I do not approve that message.
on. Yeah, I don't often break out the guilt, but when I do.
Yeah, that was like, I was like, ooh.
It's like I'm Candy and I feel this message.
Yeah, like, no.
It's all good. You can like,
Subs-
share,
like,
subscribe.
yeah, if you want.
If you really love us,
If
you
you-
can do it.
So, yeah, I love you.